Oh god, it's EA, run. Dead Space begins with this screen giving us the names of the 3 characters we're going to be hanging out with for the rest of the game. Isaac Clarke, engineer and ship system specialist, and the character we'll be playing as. Kendra Daniels, computer specialist, and Zach Hammond, chief security officer. However, there are 5 people in the opening cutscene, so it's easy now to assume that the other 2 guys are gonna die. That's just my guess. We're also given 2 mission objectives: locate mining vehicle Ishimura and diagnose and repair communications blackout.
Isaac, it's me. I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about everything.
This is Nicole. She's Isaac's girlfriend, and she's aboard the planet-cracking vessel, the USS Ishimura.
I wish I could just talk to someone. It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening. It's strange. Such a little thing.
Here we find our protagonist and his companions in space, heading to their destination, and it's here we get a lot of exposition.
Deep space mining is a lucrative business, Ms. Daniels. Aegis 7 is a gold mine according to prospectors' reports. Cobalt, silicon, osmium.
If you haven't noticed, this game is pretty good looking, and this opening cutscene is pretty good. It's kinda clunky in the dialogue department with some of its exposition, but it makes up for it in terms of visuals and music. There's a very heavy, Ridley Scott's Alien thing going on here, if you haven't picked that up.
Now, where is she? There she is. We have visual contact.
The communication on the Ishimura is whacked, and so everyone decides to land on the ship and get out. That's when things go sideways.
Field's too strong!
The ship lands sort of safely, but damaged, and everyone is angry, but we decide the best thing to do is disembark.
Alright, we've still got a job to do. We're moving out.
Well, there those guys go, marching off to their death.
Welcome, CEC employee, to the USG issue.
You didn't lose power to the port booster. You lost the port booster. Unbelievable.
Everybody gets off the ship, and they find that the USS Ishimura is very quiet, eerily so. Where are all the people? What's happening here? Questions abound in this very silent space environment.
There should be a security detail in here.
Yeah? Well, there's not. There's nobody here. I can't pick up any broadcasts.
Isaac, log in and see what you can find. Kendra, get that elevator back online.
Power's dead. I can't.
Then reboot the damn power.
Huh, that doesn't look good. She's taken a lot of damage.
What the hell was that?
Automatic quarantine must have tripped when the filtration system restarted. Everybody relax.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Not sure.
The hell? I don't know. Something's in the room with us.
Open fire! Open fire!
Kendra, power! Kendra! Come on. Got it!
Isaac, get the hell out of there!
The door's unlocked! Run!
What follows is a tense chase sequence, and if you haven't played this game before, then this moment will keep you right on the edge of your seat. Now, before I continue, let's stop right here for a moment. I just want to say that what is about to happen, what follows this frame that I have frozen right here, this should set the tone for the rest of the game. It's just, there's something about the lighting, the sound, the in-your-faceness of it. It's great. A pure feat of horror delight, and it's made by people who know what they're doing. And that right there is the essence of this game. Isaac gets off the elevator and is in a small room, and what he finds here is a corpse and a message written in blood across the wall: cut off their limbs. And it's with this that Isaac Clarke's nightmare aboard the USS Ishimura begins in a video game that has been very aptly titled Dead Space. But is Dead Space as good as everybody says it is? Is it as scary, as atmospheric? Is it as interesting? Does it hold up against the test of time? We will be answering all of these questions and more here on the Evil Fungi Show. But the most important question we'll be asking is Dead Space a good horror game? I'm Kirby, and I'm broadcasting to you from the precipice of madness and death. This is the Evil Fungi Show. I cannot emphasize enough how well this game does atmosphere. Let's take a moment to enjoy this, alright? This is great. It's a good combination of lighting, graphics, the men screaming on the other side of the door, the smoke that clouds everything in the room, and the halo that the light above the door casts through said smoke. It's wonderful, and nearly everything in this game is created to be unobtrusive to the atmosphere it seeks to create. Everything in the game that has a game-like function to it has been worked into the game world and ultimately adds to the immersion the player feels when playing this game. There is no HUD in this game. Isaac's health bar is an illuminated spinal column on his back, which is called a rig, and it's a part of his suit. If you need to know how many bullets you have, readying your weapon will bring up a little hologram that tells you the amount of ammo you have left. Holograms indicate the items you can pick up in the environment. Additionally, items that are in the environment that you can pick up will have a hologram pop up to indicate what they are. The item menu, tutorial menus, map, audio, communications, text logs all pop up as holograms in the game, and at no time do any of these things actually pause or stop the game. You may be surrounded by enemies and have to get your inventory open so that you can use a health item, but you have to do it in the heat of combat or while fleeing. It adds a great deal of urgency to the game and is used very well to keep the tension up. There are a few things in the game that will break the immersion for the player, but these things are really small and they are few and far between. Nearly everything in this game is form meets function, and it all comes together to create one of the best sci-fi horror game atmospheres there is. And the atmosphere is great. I love it. Isaac makes his way through the halls and eventually runs into Kendra and Hammond. On a character level, Isaac's goal is to locate his girlfriend Nicole, who is supposed to be on board the ship somewhere. Is she alive? Is she dead? All questions that will be answered in due course. However, the ship is a wreck, and there are all these other questions pertaining to what's happened on the ship, what are these creatures, where is everyone, etc., etc. Needless to say, Hammond puts the situation at hand quite simply.
You fix the tram, and I'll help you find Nicole.
It's in this part of the game where you learn about most of the game's mechanics. The first one you learn about is the map system, which is entirely useless because of the waypoint system. Push R3 and a blue line streaks across the floor, leading you to your next destination. And yes, I'm playing this on a PS3. It's a cool map though. It's all 3D and reminds me of the maps in those Metroid Prime games. The menu system is pretty cool in general. It casts a light on Isaac. It's in 3D. It's cool. So cool it's noteworthy here in this review, or retrospective, or whatever this thing is that I'm doing. Some people say that they don't like the waypoint system because it just kind of holds your hand to the next goal. I love it. It's great. I don't have to spend a bunch of time looking around trying to figure out where I need to go. It's lovely. The game gives you lockers and storage boxes to rifle through. Every enemy will drop an item when they die. There are boxes that Isaac can stomp on to get more items. Mostly you're getting ammo and health packs and money, which can be spent at stores to get more stuff. Isaac can also pick up audio logs, vid logs, and text logs. Now at the beginning of the game, there are a few flaws that pop up here and there, which sort of ruins the atmosphere and will break your immersion in the game. For instance, you get an audio log that informs Isaac that the creatures are coming through the vents and that's how they're getting around.
Everybody listen up. They're using the vents. That's how they're getting around the ship.
This audio log is sort of an obvious attempt to justify why the enemies are teleporting around. I appreciate it because it is trying to take something that's sort of a game element, enemies just showing up, and providing some type of diegetic thing that's going on there. So I appreciate that. Additionally, the designers try their hardest to get across that to kill the enemy, you have to cut off their limbs. You get the bloody message on the wall and then an audio log telling you to do it.
You gotta cut off the limbs. Grab a cutter, anything like that.
And if that isn't enough, just a few minutes after getting this log, Hammond calls to tell you to cut off their limbs to kill them as well.
Go for the limbs. Dismember them. That should do the job.
It has a very video gamey vibe to it to just constantly receive that exposition. Like, it's blatantly game design there to instruct the player on how to play. It's a little too much. The bloody message on the wall that got the message across. Even though these flaws do break the immersion, it really doesn't take long for the game to make you forget about them. Oh crap. Must not shit pants. Must not shit pants. Fuck this, I'm saving. And what are those horrific things in the dark that you have to shoot the limbs off of? They're called necromorphs. What they are and where they come from will be answered later in this review. But how you kill them is you shoot off their limbs. It's an ingenious and very interesting way of adding some depth to the shooting in this game. And it adds a sort of tension to the game as well. There's nothing more butt-clenchingly terrifying in Dead Space than a group of necromorphs coming at you and you're frantically trying to shoot out their knees. In the early game, you only fight two types of necromorphs: slashers, which are the most common type of necromorph, and leapers, which are the other most common type of necromorph. Leapers are fast and a pain in the ass, and will usually be the ones to ambush you in 0G, and slashers they're everywhere. If you shoot the slashers in the legs, then they'll crawl after you. If they get close enough, they'll grab you, and you have to push X a lot not to die. Isaac has a bunch of abilities he can use to take out these bastards as well. Holding L1 readies whichever weapon Isaac has equipped, and then it sort of goes into this third-person shooter control scheme where you can aim your gun and strafe at the same time. Think the original Red Dead Revolver game on the PS2, and that's kind of what it's like. Every gun has a primary fire and an alternate fire. Now, the main gun I used throughout not only Dead Space, but also Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 was the plasma cutter, which is the first weapon you get in this game. The plasma cutter is without a doubt the workhorse weapon of the series. Its alternate fire causes it to rotate either vertically or horizontally, and the plasma cutter, just like all of the other weapons in the game, has a laser sight on it. It certainly wouldn't be unfair to say that this game is just Resident Evil 4 in space. In this first level, Isaac gets the stasis module. When his weapon is readied, you can push the triangle button to shoot out a blast of energy. This allows Isaac to slow things down, which can be very, very useful in battle. It can also be used for solving puzzles like fixing the tram. The stasis module has its own circular bar next to Isaac's health bar on his rig. If it runs out, you can recharge it on the wall station or use a stasis pack from your inventory should you have one available.
Isaac, you did it. The tram is blocking the whole system. When you get the computer online, you'll be able to call the tram from the control room. Faster the better. I can hear something crawling around out there.
Isaac has successfully cleared the tracks and now has to get a computer chip to start up the train.
Isaac, I've patched into the deck security system. It took some work, but I've got the door to the maintenance bay unlocked. The data board should be somewhere inside.
And here's a pro tip for you. If you see these red things, that means you're going to fight something. In the game, there are locked rooms that you can only access by using power nodes. You can pick up or buy power nodes throughout the course of the game. They don't take up any space in your inventory, and they are incredibly expensive to purchase at the stores. Accessing these special rooms gives you a cache of ammo, health pickups, money, special items, and in some instances, more power nodes. Power nodes can also be used to upgrade your rig and weapons. These upgrades can be made at what are called benches that are located throughout the game. Some abilities allow your weapon to hold more ammo or reload faster or shoot faster or increase damage. You can also upgrade your rig, giving you more oxygen or health. The ability to upgrade also applies to both the stasis module and the kinesis module, which I'll talk more about later. You can upgrade the stasis module to refill faster, have its effects last longer, or give you more shots before running out of juice. Now, this web tree of upgrades, it doesn't look too complicated on the surface, and truthfully it isn't, but its simplicity is its genius. Power nodes pop up regularly, but they're few and far between, and it can sometimes be a struggle, particularly early on, to decide how best to use them. For this playthrough, I upgraded the rig and increased my health as much as I could, as fast as I could. Never throughout the game did I increase my suit's capacity for oxygen. Choosing what to upgrade will have an effect on the game. Like, it's a serious decision-making thing. Increasing my health over increasing the plasma cutter's ability to inflict damage actually had a surprising effect on how I played the game. At one point, I had a wealth of health supplies. I never really needed to use them because my health bar had been maxed out early on in the game. However, because I didn't upgrade the plasma cutter, I kept running out of ammo for it and kept having to really scrounge and conserve ammo when I found it. It's good that you have these choices that you can make. Like, the game is well designed in terms of its upgrade system. Like, it made me feel like the choices I made mattered, and like I would need to spend more than half a thought on them. After Isaac gets the chip, it's time to start the tram.
Tram arriving at flight deck station. Quarantine lifted.
It would seem that there's some trust issues going on between my companions.
You're out of your league, Hammond. This is suicide. We're going to die out here.
Your lack of confidence in me is duly noted, Miss Daniels. But I have a mission to complete, and that's exactly what I am going to do, with or without you. Do we understand each other?
Just get us out of here alive.
After this, they decide we need to split up, which is dumb because sticking together increases our likelihood of survival. We need to stick together. As Isaac, I run back to our ship to prep it for takeoff, while Kendra and Hammond go to the bridge to, I don't know, find out stuff, and then things go horribly wrong.
Hostile life form detected. Hull damage critical.
Isaac is now tasked with going to the medical bay to get some codes off of the ship's captain, who happens to be deceased. Kendra and Hammond split up, and the plot slowly begins to thicken. To get to the med bay, Isaac has to get to the tram and take it there. Now, the tram represents one of the flaws with this game's design. It bookends every chapter and location you go to. It's very obvious design and stands out as being an easy way to separate the chapters in this game. Like, you'll get off the tram at the beginning of the mission, and at the end of the mission you'll get back on the tram. It's going to be that way for every single chapter in the game. When Isaac reaches the tram, we get to enjoy one of the game's many stores. The store provides the player with the storage space for excess items they don't need, as well as provides opportunities to purchase supplies and upgrade weapons, or sell items you don't need. It's like the item box from Resident Evil, only you can buy things there as well as upgrade your suit. Each suit upgrade provides you with more inventory slots, more armor, and a new look. After this first store, it's now time to go off to the next part of this game, which I like to call...
Shh, it's all right, McCoy. He's here.
Jesus.
Nothing to be afraid of.
I don't think this is healthy.
I knew you would come. Just like you said.
Well, that's dramatic.
I saved this for you.
Isaac gets the kinesis module from this lady before she dies. It can be used to move stuff in the environment. You use the kinesis module for a variety of things in this game, such as grabbing items that sit out of reach of the player, or moving certain objects in the environment indicated by these signs placed on them. One of the first things Isaac comes across in this new area is what the game calls a schematic, which in this game is a blueprint for how to build a new weapon or item or a suit. Picking up a schematic and taking it to any store in the game will allow you to then purchase the schematic specific item at any store within the game. It's an interesting idea. Unfortunately, each schematic takes up a space in your inventory, and I usually never buy whatever the schematic provides. The mission for this section is...
Get me the captain's rig codes and we'll find Nicole. Looks like the crew barricaded the door to the emergency wing. We have to blow through it to get to the morgue. Get some thermite from medical storage, and a shock pad from zero-G therapy.
Most of the missions in this game fall into fetch quest categories, I'm sad to say. I mean, they're good fetch quests, don't get me wrong, but they are fetch quests nonetheless. However, there's really never a moment when I was playing the game where I actually felt like I was being sent on a fetch quest. Much of the environment, battles, puzzles, and other such things kept me too preoccupied to think that all I had to do was go to a place and press X while standing next to a thing. And all of these missions are story driven. Most of the time it's a matter of go here to get this thing to blow up, unlock, start up, turn on, or do something which all amounts to opening the way to the next area. Sometimes you have to go to a place to kill a thing or several things. And in Dead Space, when you enter a room like this, it's likely you're going to fight something.
Hazardous anomaly detected. Quarantine activated.
And you can't really run from enemies in this game, as they will come after you through the air vents. Unless they don't have legs, in which case they can't go through the vents. Small consolation in my opinion, to be quite frank. Down here in the medical bay, we get our first taste of the plot thickening, of the backstory and the game's strange religion, Scientology. I mean Unitology. Unitology, that's what it's called in the game. It's called Unitology in the game. I don't know where my head was at on that one.
What in God's name is going on down there?
I think that's precisely the point, Doctor. God's work.
I don't know. I don't think sci-fi space zombies is God's work.
I'm not so sure of that. We have to assume that the colony's problems are somehow connected to the marker.
You can assume all you want to. I do not. The marker is glorious and divine. You know that.
Now, this conversation we're experiencing right here is very intriguing and raises certain questions that I, the player, want answers to.
Anyway, we'll have it on board tomorrow. You can analyze it all you want to. What are you so worried about?
Captain, people are dying down there, killing each other. Is this madness the transformation unitology teaches us?
It seems that there's this thing called the marker, and it's on board the ship, and there's something called unitology, which might be known to Isaac and our main characters, but is unknown to us, the player. Unitology seems to promise transformation, and there's this doctor that seems concerned about what's happening on board the ship and down in the colony. This game does a fine job at building questions in the mind of the audience, and that's because the writers know how to write a decent horror story. So far, the story has brought up many questions and built intrigue around those questions. What's unitology? What's the marker? Is it on board the ship? Is the marker responsible for what's happening on the ship? The game's story does what a good story should do. It provides questions for the protagonist to find answers to as the plot unfolds. Text logs and vid logs you find also help to build complexity into these mysteries by providing character-specific perspectives on the events as they have unfolded. Dead Space has a surprisingly rich story that utilizes many different storytelling techniques in video games to convey the plot, and I like it. I like the text logs, I like the vid logs, I like the audio logs, I like the environmental storytelling that it does.
So good.
In the med lab, Isaac gets introduced to a new enemy, the Lurker, and we also get to experience one of the game's minor flaws.
Come on! Let me out!
Isaac, what are you doing? Help this man. In this game, most character interactions happen with a pane of glass between them. Pretty much every time Isaac comes across someone, they are separated in this manner. It's strange and very noticeable, and it's very game designy. It's one of the few flaws that happen in this game, is that all of the cutscenes and all of the characters are separated by something. And if you're wondering, lurkers suck to fight. They climb on walls and ceilings, and you have to shoot their tentacles to kill them. They shoot projectiles at you, and if they get too close, they climb onto you, and you have to do like a quick time event to get them off. But despite this, I do think that they're necromorphs made out of dead babies, so that's cool. And by the way, what's going on in this lab? Why are so many babies in these tanks? Like, are they still alive? Should I save them? I'm really torn and confused about what's happening on this ship. It's very, very strange. By the way, have I mentioned how well this game does atmosphere?
Well, that was terrifying.
In the med lab, you get to play around in space a little, and yes, space makes an appearance in this game. I know, I thought it was just in the title too. When in space, everything sort of turns a grayish color, and audio becomes muffled. A hologram showing Isaac's dwindling air supply also pops up on his back, indicating how long he has left before he suffocates. Now this little timer thing that's here that indicates Isaac's oxygen supply, this is really cool, and it's a great way of adding a ticking clock to the gameplay when you have to perform tasks in space. It's another way of adding tension to the game with a gameplay device, but making it unobtrusive by surrounding it with story context. I flippin' love it. There were a few times I came close to dying without oxygen, but I seem to always just barely make it to a room with oxygen before time ran out. It's a good game design. Like, they hit a perfect level of do this and this while this is ticking down. Like, it's good. Good gameplay device.
It's good.
In Dead Space, you also get to play around in 0G, which really just causes items to float around in space and lets Isaac walk on ceilings and walls. He can't float, and that's because he's got magnetic shoes like the characters in Event Horizon. When fighting in 0G, Isaac mainly gets attacked by lurkers and those fast dog necromorphs. So Isaac gets the thermite and the shock pads, and it's off to blow up the blockade in the main office of the med lab and get to the morgue. And along the way, he gets to meet the most annoying enemy in the entire game series, the Swarmers. I hate these little fuckers. Kill them any way you can. Fire works best, but I usually use the Ripper to do the job. Speaking of killing things, you have a variety of weapons you can use to do that. The primary weapon is the plasma cutter. Like I said, this is the workhorse of the game. I rarely used any other weapon than this. Really, I only used 3 weapons in this game: the plasma cutter, the line gun, and the Ripper. Each of these weapons cuts limbs pretty damn good. All the other weapons in the game don't. The line gun kind of takes the place of the shotgun, I think. I mean, maybe that's the force gun, but I always viewed the line gun as being the shotgun of this game. It's powerful and has a wide spread as the primary attack. The secondary attack shoots out a ball of energy which acts as a mine and explodes. I never really used the secondary attack on the line gun. Primary attack is pretty good and very functional. Now the Ripper shoots out a saw blade. Its primary fire causes the blade to shoot out and hover in midair wherever the laser sight is pointed. It's a pretty good weapon and it can save your life in tight corridors or on an elevator. The Ripper's alt fire simply shoots a saw blade out like it's a projectile, and it can sever limbs darn good. And those are the 3 weapons I used for this game. The game has other weapons, but unless they chop off limbs, I don't bother with them. However, I did record footage of them for you for your benefit. So sit back and enjoy, Space Cadets, because Dead Space ain't just about jump scares and atmosphere, it's also about taking names and kicking ass. Hey Ugly, you look tired. Why don't you take a seat? They call me the garbage man, because I take out the trash. Not even breaking a sweat. Bowling them over everywhere I go. They say it's bad to have an open flame in a pure oxygen environment. I disagree. I'm here to chew ass and kick bubblegum, and I'm all out of ass. Wasn't that fun, kids? I thought that was fun. Weapons are fun. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this video and would like to get more videos about mostly horror video games, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Evil Fungi. It's a place for night people. Well, the animation on that could have been better.
This is Senior Medical Officer Nicole Brennan transmitting ship-wide.
Hey, that's Isaac's girlfriend.
We need more help. We don't have the resources to deal with this many cases. Nobody would tell us what's happening.
See, it's this stuff that really helps build the world out, but again, helps build intrigue and mystery around what's happening on the ship. Nicole's lack of knowledge mirrors our own lack of knowledge. In this area, Isaac enters the med bay proper, and it's damn scary in here. I mean, look at this lighting and blood and these necromorphs coming at me. It's scary as hell, and the design of the level and placement of the items just tries to lure you into danger. Just look at this hallway. Look at how creepy it is. That one flickering light at the end with those shiny items at the end on the floor just beckoning me to come down there and collect them. What does the game think I am, stupid? Yeah, I'm stupid. Jesus, just look at the mess. I love how visceral this whole thing is. This is really great environmental work. Like, they did a really great job with this. Like, really, the developers are very... Oh, sweet Jesus! Much like the woman at the beginning of this chapter, you'll run into other people throughout the game that just don't seem quite right. You find a log by a doctor from the med lab who speculates that the marker might be to blame for the rise of mental health problems and delusions amongst the ship's crew.
Almost 40% of the colonists are experiencing a form of dementia. The obvious symptoms are acute depression, insomnia, and hallucination. Incidents of violence and even murder also indicate extreme paranoia.
And that's the reason why you run into things like this throughout the game. Well, at least I'm not the only one who finds this whole thing funny. Isaac reaches the morgue, and it's here that we're introduced to the infector necromorph. And these things suck. They turn dead bodies in the environment into necromorphs. And not just necromorphs, but these black enhanced necromorphs that are really, really fast and really hard to kill. The infectors are great from a design perspective because not only does this enemy provide more obstacles between you and your goal by creating more necromorphs, but it changes the dynamic of gameplay by making these infector necromorphs the primary target, because you want to kill them before they make more enemies for you to kill. This basically leads to the player walking into rooms filled with corpses and stomping all the limbs off of them so that the infectors can't turn them into necromorphs. And I highly recommend that whenever you find a corpse in this game, you stomp all of its limbs off. It will make your life much easier in the long run, I assure you. Isaac gets the codes from the captain's corpse and sends them to Hammond. Also, this happens.
Somehow one of them found a way down to the captain's nest. I managed to contain it in a damaged escape pod.
This is important. Remember that a necromorph is locked in an escape pod. Also, there are escape pods. Why aren't our protagonists using these escape pods?
Whatever is happening around here, it came from the planet when they cracked it open. It spread to the colony and reached the ship. Isaac, this isn't an infection. It's some form of alien life.
This game does a good job at keeping the plot simplified. This is some nice, clear context for what's going on so the player isn't confused. Although it's a bit clunky, it still clarifies what's happening, which is a good thing.
Shit, we've got bigger problems. The ship's engines are offline and our orbit is decaying. Get over to the engineering deck ASAP while I stay here and figure out what the problem is.
One thing I like about this game is how it constantly uses story to keep the tension up. It's good. It always seems like there's this sense of urgency to everything you have to do. Isaac never gets a moment of rest. You just have to keep going or catastrophe will strike and everyone will die. With Isaac's journey to engineering, this brings us to the section of the game that I like to call Isaac Clarke makes engineering fun the way that Indiana Jones makes archaeology fun. The third chapter of this game is titled Course Correction. This starts up the section of the game where Isaac has to basically fix everything on the ship so that no one dies. For this chapter, he must turn on the ship's centrifuge and start up the gravity thingy so that the ship doesn't fall to the planet, causing everyone to die. Also, don't forget to stomp on the corpses you find. The color blue permeates this entire level, and the entire level is almost entirely underlit, which is spooky as hell. Like, really, have I mentioned how good the atmosphere is in this game? You get to run across some catwalks and take a sky tram, which really gives you a sense of how damn big this place is. Jesus, listen to that sound. Whatever's out there, it must be enormous. Oh, sweet Jesus, they're waiting for me. Isaac finds a lot of audio and text logs in this level, filling in a good amount of backstory, talking about crazy shit happening and speculations that unitologists actually sabotaged the ship. And also, don't forget to stomp those corpses. To get to the centrifuge, the game makes Isaac go through decontamination, and I remember really hating this part.
Decontamination sequence activated. Please stand by.
The lights go out and you're trapped in the dark fighting necromorphs. Now, I hated this part of the game back in the day, but doing it for this playthrough, it's not as bad as I remember it. Now, I think lots of people actually didn't like this part of the game, but the developers really liked this part of the game because they actually make you do this again in Dead Space 2. Those sadistic bastards. Wow, that's a big hole. It reminds me of your mom. The centrifuge is huge. It's this zero-G puzzle combat room where Isaac finds this mass of fleshy stuff on the walls. And you have to fight those fast dog necromorphs. I seem to have found a flaw in this game design. Once Isaac gets the giant science thingies into place and pushes the button to start the machine, the centrifuge turns on and starts spinning around. The gravity shuts off and the floor falls away and the oxygen is sucked out of the room. Isaac has to run along a narrow pathway while avoiding the insta-kill centrifuge that's following him, while at the same time his oxygen is running out and the game throws more necromorphs at you to make the whole thing harder. And I have to say that the developers designed this sequence very well. It's at this point in the game when all the different gameplay mechanics start to come together and you, the player, can really appreciate the design. It's the first time everything comes together to create a real challenge for the player. It's here, in this moment, where I get my first death of the game. And I have to also say that the game does a very good job at conveying all of the horrific ways in which someone can die in space. And I know about horrible deaths in space. We had this janitor who was cleaning the toilets one day, and he got sucked down into them and then shot out into space. It's strange to think that there are still frozen chunks of him floating in some orbit somewhere. After you exit the centrifuge, Kendra calls you.
They attacked me, I ran for it, and Hammond he just disappeared.
Sounds suspicious.
I hacked the route and found some reports from the colony. Even before they cracked the planet, the colonists were experiencing widespread dementia. It seems to be related to some artifact they found on the planet, something called the marker.
Oh yeah, I know. Everybody was experiencing delusions because of this thing called a marker. I figured that out already. I figured it out by reading all the text logs I've been finding. It's actually really surprising how much time I have to read, given that I'm being hunted by space zombies.
I've got your location and I'm going to unlock the door to fuel storage. You can get to the engine chamber from there.
Isaac heads to the engine room to start the engines, and along the way, he comes across more of that fleshy stuff. Sometimes the fleshy stuff will prevent Isaac from running, and he can only trod slowly. There are also these guys melted into the wall, which reminds me of the people in the cocoons in Aliens. Isaac gets to the engine room and starts up the engine, and before I even push the button, I know that a fight's going to start up afterward. Now everything is dead, and surely we're out of the woods and in a much safer...
Wait, we're not safe yet.
God damn it.
The ship's asteroid defense system is offline. On the way up, the ship's going to pass through a debris field thrown up from the planet crack.
That's not good.
We'll be ripped to pieces unless you restart it.
Oh, I don't want to be torn to pieces. I'm really attached to myself. From here, Isaac returns to the tram and must continue to the bridge to meet up with Hammond and the start of the next mission, which is called Obliteration Imminent, which is a name that makes me want to drink tequila for some reason.
When were you going to tell us about the artifact, Hammond? This marker.
Hammond seems honest. I don't think that he knows anything about it, Kendra.
I don't know anything about that.
See, I told you.
It's referenced in the captain's records. They brought it up from the planet.
It's on the ship?
From what I've been reading, it sounds like it's on the ship, and it sounds like it's the cause of all this stuff. If y'all would read more, you'd probably know this too.
They think it's of alien origin, but I don't know what the hell it is.
Really? CEC didn't know anything about it. You're lying.
Oh snap, it's on.
I am not the bad guy here. Ross shake you right now. You're gonna have to trust that I don't know anything about it.
You know, I do trust Hammond. He seems like the type of guy whose purpose in life is to look out for his fellow man. Unlike his co-workers, Isaac is a silent protagonist, at least here in this first game. It's good as he doesn't give his thoughts on events, which allows me to come to my own conclusions about what's happening. It is, however, strange that he doesn't have anything to say about some of the goings-on that are happening in the game. Surely someone would have something to say about stuff like this. You also don't get to see Isaac's face throughout most of this game. It's constantly covered by this really cool helmet with glowing eyes. It sort of reminds me of the faces of the Colossi in Shadow of the Colossus. Isaac reaches the bridge and sees Hammond, who gives him the 411 on what he needs to do, which is activate an elevator, turn on 3 junction boxes, and then the asteroid defense system will come on. Isn't this room pretty? I just like the way that it glows.
Be careful. I saw something out there. I don't know what. I only got a glimpse. But it was big. Really big.
When Isaac leaves the room, the necromorph in the escape pod stands up and scares the crap out of me. So Hammond launches the escape pod into space. Surely nothing bad will come of that action. Oh crap, it's coming right for us! This is the brute necromorph. It's this giant hulking thing that just charges right for you. It's incredibly tough. Its weak points are its back and its shoulder joints. And its greatest flaw is its programming. And what that means is that these enemies can't really go into certain places. If Isaac, for instance, backs down these stairs in the bridge, the brute necromorph will turn and run away, leaving him open to attack. Additionally, these enemies aren't that difficult to take out. Just hit them with the stasis stream and then pummel their weak points. This problem exists with all the brutes in the game. It sort of takes you out of the game a little bit and definitely makes these enemies less of a threat throughout the course of the game. Like when I see them, I'm never really scared. Like I know I can take them out pretty easily, and if I can't, then there's probably someplace I can go or an area I can stand where they won't be able to get at me. I should also mention that on board the ship is a Dr. Terrence Kine. We saw him talking to the captain in that vid log in the med lab. Throughout the game, you find text logs from him. Slowly, the game builds him up over time. There also seems to be a problem with the gravity flooring in some parts of the ship that could potentially kill Isaac. Eventually, you come across the pregnant necromorphs called pregnant necromorphs. I hate these things. You have to be very careful not to shoot them in their guts. If you do happen to shoot them in their guts, then they burst open and a group of swarmers come out and chase after you. Doesn't that just sound delightful? These necromorphs are kind of like the pain elementals in Doom, and I completely hate them. There's nothing like being in a big fight and then one of these bastards shambles in front of your gun, and now all of a sudden you're swarmed by these little fuckers and have to shake them off by mashing X while everything else is attacking you and trying to kill you. Really, I probably died more times in this game from these little bug things than anything else. It's bullshit. Once Isaac gets everything up and running, he has to go manually control a cannon to shoot asteroids before they can obliterate the ship. I like this part of the game, sort of. The section leading into the controlling of the cannon is rather memorable. Isaac has to run along the outside of the ship and take cover when debris from space rains down on him. This is also like the most extended period of time in the game so far when you actually have to be outside in space, and it's cool. The gun shooting part of the game I'm a little iffy on. Asteroids fly towards the ship and you have to shoot them into pieces. I die here so many times. Like, this gun shooting part just murders the entire pace of the game and the fun of the game, and I dislike it. In addition to this, the gun will overheat and can't be used for a second or two. How do I describe this part of the game? Imagine if the video game Asteroids took place from the cockpit of the ship and the asteroids were out for vengeance. They are relentless here. They bombard the ship with extreme prejudice. On a personal level, when I finish this part, I'm more grateful it's done as opposed to feeling a sense of accomplishment for completing it. After you complete this section, Kendra calls and gives you your next mission. At this point, the structure of the game becomes clear. Once you're done with one mission, someone calls to give you another.
Oxygen levels are falling. Something's poisoning hydroponics air production, and whatever it is, it's filling the deck up with that organic stuff. We're not going to have any air to breathe soon. But if I understand these lab reports correctly, I think I can make a poison to destroy it. Head to medical. It should have everything you need.
Here you meet your first wannabe John Carpenter head crab. These things are annoying. I don't like them. They will never be Norris from John Carpenter's The Thing. The next chapter is called Lethal Devotion, which sounds like the title of a Tales from the Crypt episode. Something in hydroponics is polluting the air in the ship, and it's up to Isaac to fix the problem. But first, he has to get some poison chemicals from the med lab, which looks different because someone has been messing with the lights in here, and the locks for the doors have all been changed. It's a recycled level, but it's changed enough that it doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing again. Plus, you get to meet a couple new enemies in this area, like this horrible thing. These necromorphs are called guardians, and they're disgusting balls of fleshy snot that are attached to walls, and they puke out little other pieces of fleshy snot that have tentacles on them and throw things at you. Or is it shoot things at you? I don't know. Either way, they scream and it sounds horrible. So it's here where you meet unitologist, zealot, and bad guy Dr. Chalice Mercer.
Am I the only one who sees that we have died out a long time ago? We just haven't accepted it yet. The future of our race ends here. Allow me to introduce you to humanity's child, the children that will replace us.
And then Mercer unleashes the stalker enemy of the game called the Hunter. This character is just like the Nemesis from RE3. He's coming after you and he ain't going to stop until you're 100% dead. His main feature is that he's big, he's tough, he's fast, he's relentless, and he doesn't die, and he'll regenerate limbs, and he's gonna kill you. He is gonna kill you. He's after you, you're gonna die. This level now becomes one giant mad dash through the mad lab to collect some chemicals to mix together to kill whatever inhabits hydroponics. And boy howdy, the med lab got trashed, and that hunter necromorph you just met will chase Isaac all the way through it. It's here that I reach my favorite room, the head room.
Art Deco, very nice.
So after you mix the compound stuff in the machine and then collect it up, it's time to leave, but Dr. Mercer vents all the oxygen out of the area, and it's up to Isaac to turn it all back on before— Oh, goddamn son of a bitch, I hate these things. After replenishing the oxygen in the area, I stock up on items and I buy my first weapon, the line gun. Yes, that's right. It's several hours into the game and I haven't actually bought any weapons yet. That's because the plasma cutter is a damn workhorse and can dismember enemies pretty good. It really is a great weapon, truly. Also, don't forget to stomp on corpses. Isaac makes the poison, Kendra tells him to go to hydroponics, and she can't get in touch with Hammond. Isaac then makes his way to this cryogenic freezing room where he finds Dr. Mercer talking more crazy villain shit.
I, Dr. Charles, shall serve as the catalyst to the salvation of our species. These specimens will return to Earth with me.
No, don't take this to Earth. That's where I keep my stuff.
I will spread their divine glory across the entire planet.
Divine glory? Buddy, you're nuts. Here we fight the Hunter, and in this section the goal is to slow the Hunter down long enough to freeze him in the cryogenic freezing chamber. After fighting the Hunter, Isaac takes a second tram to hydroponics, and when we get there, the first thing we have to do is stomp on some corpses. Isaac finds Hammond, who can't breathe due to the polluted air, but Isaac can breathe because he has his special engineering suit. I like hydroponics. Its first half is very green, and it's a good little area to fight necromorphs in, which you'll do a lot of. In hydroponics, Isaac has to kill a bunch of special necromorphs that produce a poisonous vapor. Now, these necromorphs don't attack Isaac, they just sit and look pathetic and poison the air. I almost feel sorry for them. Almost. In hydroponics, the plot thickens a bit.
Isaac, Make us whole again.
What the hell was that? What makes us whole? This is all very complicated. I'm just trying to stomp corpses so they don't come back to life and try to kill me. In this level, we're introduced to another enemy, the Exploder Necromorphs. They have a glowing orange arm that will explode if you shoot it, but you can also shoot it off the body and use it as a grenade against other enemies by grabbing it with the Kinesis module. But if you're a simple man like I am, all you really have to do is shoot it to take out any enemies in the surrounding area. Just 1-2 punch, that's what I'm all about. This enemy also has a very distinctive noise it makes when it enters a room. And every time I hear it, my butt cheeks squeeze together just a little bit. After killing the last Weezer necromorph, Kendra calls and mentions that she's seeing her brother, and then Nicole calls Isaac.
Isaac, where are you? Help me.
What this level is most well known for is the boss fight at the end. Isaac goes through this giant tube of flesh muck all around the outside of this sort of, well... Okay, so Isaac drops the chemicals he made into this vent machine system, and unfortunately it doesn't kill whatever's in hydroponics, causing the major problems.
Get in there and kill it before it contaminates the entire ship.
Jesus, what would these people do without Isaac? Isaac deserves a raise, for the love of God. The boss fight here is huge. I mean, sweet Jesus, it's just a giant flesh monster. It looks like someone blew their nose in here, and this is what's left. It's a good boss fight, though. I like it a lot. It's not too challenging, but not too easy either.
You did it!
No shit, I did. I do everything on this ship while you sit in a computer room and fail.
Hammond, do you read? Oxygen levels are returning to normal.
You know they better. I went through a lot to make it that way.
He's gone again. No sign of his rig anywhere. It's up to us now.
You mean me, lady. It's up to me.
I've got a plan to get off this ship.
Is it to use the escape pods on the bridge?
I've located an SOS beacon on the mining deck. If you can get down there and activate it, we might be able to send a distress call.
Or we could just use those escape pods on the bridge.
Oh God. I don't know how much longer that door will hold.
What? What did you say?
Oh God. I don't know how much longer that door will hold.
In this level, you have to collect some stuff from the mining bay to build a distress beacon, and then attach said distress beacon to an asteroid. Then send said asteroid out into space, all while undead alien space zombies try to kill you. You know what? Isaac Clarke is the biggest fucking badass in all of video games. It's here in this level that the developers decide to trap you on a small elevator and throw a bunch of necromorphs at you. But this kind of thing is what the Ripper is for. There's a lot of meat in this level. It's like hamburger covers everything. It makes me feel gross. This is also when Nicole shows up.
Isaac? Is that really you?
Nope, my name is Anielo Montoya and you killed my father. Prepare to die.
It feels like it's been so long. But I can help you now. Come with me.
Come with you? I'm stuck on a freaking tram. Next, you protect Nicole from necromorphs while she uses a computer to open a locked door for you. It's intense, and afterwards, she runs off. No, we need to stick together. At this point in the game, I've run out of space in my inventory. Item management is a must in this game. You can't hold everything on your person and must sometimes choose what to discard and what to keep. It's a small but added touch to the game and a staple of the genre, item management that is, and in Dead Space it's nicely done here by the developers. Also, don't forget to stomp corpses. By the way, why is there a circle of severed hands in this level? Who is the programmer at Visceral Games who did this? What kind of sick weirdo does such a thing? by God. Eventually, Isaac reaches the asteroid, which is huge and is in 0G and has some huge space science stuff holding it in place that will kill Isaac if he gets hit by it. And what you have to do is destroy these gravity tethers around the room, then jump on the asteroid, dodge the space science things, and plant the distress beacon while necromorphs attack you. It's a lot of fun. And don't forget to stomp corpses. Once that's all done, you just have to go to the control room and launch the asteroid.
Beacon's on its way. All functions normal and broadcasting wideband.
Excellent. Perfect. All is well, and surely nothing can go wrong from here.
I'll position the array receiver.
Excellent.
I thought I saw my brother again.
Uh-oh.
He waved to me, like nothing was wrong.
Oh no. Seems like Kendra's losing it. Next time I see Nicole, I better tell her to be careful around Kendra.
What? The comms array receiver isn't responding.
And with that, we now have our next mission. Chapter 8 is called Search and Rescue. A military ship, the USM Valor, seems to have gotten the distress signal that we sent, but the comms are down, and it's up to Isaac to fix it so that we can communicate with them. On the way to the comm array, we get introduced to another necromorph. Yeah, these guys suck, and they explode into John Carpenter headcrab things. I hate them. As it would turn out, this is actually an illegal space mining operation.
The ship is under attack. A request to issue a distress call has been repeatedly denied by Captain Matthias. He won't say it, but everyone on the bridge knows why. This is an illegal operation in a prohibited system.
And then there's this mini tram you ride, and I die on it, but I don't know how. How did I die? What happened? What did I hit? Isaac gets to the comm array, and it's a simple 0G puzzle where you use the kinesis module to replace broken parts and fight necromorphs. Isaac starts up the machine, and contact is made.
This is USM Valor, widecasting on all frequencies to USG Ishimura in response to your SOS.
Awesome.
We picked up your escape pod, number 47, and are en route to your position.
Crap. Kendra wants to open the hull of the ship to boost the signal, but something is blocking it. So now it's off to a boss fight. This boss fight is alright, even if I don't like the design of the creature. It sort of looks like something you might fight in one of those PS2 Contra games, as opposed to something you'd find in Dead Space. The boss fight is pretty good. It's just a matter of shooting objects when they get thrown at you, and then shooting the yellow weak points of the boss when you can. Just do this until it's dead. Kendra sends a message to the Valor, but unfortunately they have opened the escape pod that they got, and the necromorph inside is killing people, causing the Valor to crash into the Ishimura. But it's not all bad. The resulting explosion and impact brings Hammond back into the game.
I think I've located a shuttle on the crew deck. Flight log says it needs a new singularity core, but we can probably salvage one from the Valor.
And with that, it's off to Chapter 9, which is called Dead on Arrival. And it's at the beginning of this level that the plot gets thicker than a bowl of oatmeal.
Listen, I just found the munitions log for the Valor. I don't think their presence here is a coincidence. They're on a seek and destroy mission. Do you hear me?
Hammond! Hammond, no! Hammond! Oh, hi, Kendra. Wait a minute. What is this? What are you willing to give up your life for? Jesus, it's bad enough I'm dealing with undead alien space zombies. Now the game's throwing deep philosophical questions at me. The last thing I need right now is an existential crisis. I mean, fuck. Inside the Valor, everything is torn up. There's lots of fire, smoke, and sparks. It's creepy as hell. Fuck. These necromorphs move fast as they have somehow been fused to their stasis modules, and those modules are malfunctioning. Also, don't forget to stomp any corpses you find. What happens next might be the best creation of tension and suspense in this game. Isaac has to move around these giant containers, and the whole time I'm playing this, I'm just waiting for these new creepy bad guys to pop out and attack me, which they eventually do. On the way to the engine room, Isaac gets a message from Dr. Terrence Kine.
I need to speak with you.
That's what we're doing now, buddy. And you call yourself a doctor?
My name is Terrence Kine. Dr. Kine.
Yeah, you're the guy who killed the captain. Okay.
If you really can repair the shuttle, there is a better use for it than just running away.
Really?
The forces at work here are greater than you can imagine.
I don't know. I don't think I need to imagine. I mean, whatever can create undead alien space zombies has to be pretty powerful.
Please, you must help me.
You know, I still haven't saved my girlfriend yet. Jesus. Well, I better stomp on his corpse. See this guy? He's still alive, and Isaac just leaves him here. He doesn't try to save him at all. Come to think of it, he doesn't try to save the laughing woman either. Yeah, I think I'd leave her too. Eventually, Isaac reaches what I assume is the engine room, and he has to move these giant metal things around in such a way that it prevents him from being melted by these massive bursts of fire. He shoots some conduits to turn the fire off. Now, frankly, there isn't really much to the gameplay mechanics in this game. They're all pretty simple, but the developers mix things up enough that everything stays on the fresh side. Isaac gets the core, and now it's off to the crew deck to equip the ship with it and escape this godforsaken hellhole. Along the way, we run into Hammond, and unfortunately, he gets brutally killed. Get it? Get it? Brutally killed? Get it? So the next chapter is called End of Days. Turns out the shuttle we're going to take off in needs some navigational cards. So we gotta go fetch those on the crew deck, which happens to house many unitologists, and it is really creepy. Seems a lot of the unitologists have engaged in a mass self-termination, which means we need to stomp on some corpses. Oh hey, check it out, Rancid Moon is out. Now, what is unitology, you may be asking? Unitology is the fictional religion in Dead Space. It's hundreds of years old, and it's based around the idea that there's some type of artifact, some fictional marker that was created by aliens, and that what it would do is it would cause the great unification of all human beings in the universe. And like a long time ago, there was this guy named Altman who claimed this, and he claimed the government was covering up, and then he died, which became a martyr, so he's like the Jesus of unitologists and stuff, and well, that's unitology. Here you find Dr. Kine locked in a room, who refuses to open the door unless you get the navigational cards and prove your worth, which is probably the most video gamey thing in this entire game. You also run into Dr. Nutso, who says some crazy shit and then kills a guy and then runs off, leaving us to give chase. This level also has that human hamburger meat and stuff all over it. Jesus, just listen to that sound. There's one thing I haven't mentioned in this game, and it's the story of Dr. Elizabeth Cross and engineer Jake Temple. You find audio logs left around by the two of them. They are together in a relationship, and neither are unitologists. Their audio logs sort of chronicle each other looking for one another as Jake works in engineering and Elizabeth in hydroponics. This story plays out as a subplot in the audio logs, and it's a great attention to detail by the developers. I won't tell you any more about it. Should you play this game, you can find it all on your own, and it's got a pretty good payoff. The life support system and climate system have malfunctioned in parts of this level. No oxygen fills the halls in some parts, and everything is quiet, muffled, and bright. It's an intense section where you fight necromorphs and watch your oxygen run out. Sweet Jesus. Oh well, better stomp on all these corpses. Dr. Crazy tells us that his pet is free and Isaac has to get away from it while trying to move these giant beds in this sleeping area. You could cut the tension in this section with a knife, I tell ya. After getting the navigational cards, we go to see Dr. Kine, and he's clearly out of his mind. He rants a little and shows us a nice video. Wow, that thing looks big and pissed off.
Mercer calls it the hive mind. We were so stupid!
Dude, it's cool. Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.
The marker was containing it within the planet. Return the marker and seal the hive mind.
Isaac heads to the ship for the next boss fight. All that needs to be done is insert the navigational cards into the ship. Now all you gotta do is power her up for a test toast.
Engines.
There the boss fight is, right on time. Oh shit, it's in the room! This boss fight isn't hard. Just stop the hunter in front of the ship's jets and turn it on, and he's brown bread. Kine shows up to the flight deck and takes the ship. It's now up to Isaac to get the marker on board. We also get to learn about what happens to Dr. Mercer. Oh geez, I guess when death is your end goal, then dying is only inevitable. What an asshole. Chapter 11 is called Alternate Solutions. Getting the marker up from the cargo bay to the ship is no easy task, unless you're playing on easy, which I'm not. The first stop is to this arena where you have to move the marker around it, and although the marker has been in the background throughout the game, this moment in the game is when you see the marker for the first time. It's not as grandiose a moment as you might think, and I feel like it sort of falls flat. As soon as the marker raises, Isaac has to move it along this track to get it to the elevator. It's at this time that a bunch of enemies show up and try to get in the way. Isaac gets to the flight deck and has to manually move the marker to the ship because the automatic loading controls on the ship are busted. Go figure. This involves turning off the gravity and hopping around, killing some pesky necromorphs, and then moving the marker into position.
Please come and join me. Together we can stop this hive mind.
Yeah, okay, let's end this.
Over here! Hurry! There's no time to waste, we must do it!
Oh no, it's a xenomorph chestburster. Oh wait, no. This is the wrong franchise. This guy was just shot. Kendra, like a Bond villain, tells us all about the plot. The marker is man-made, a replica of the one found on Earth. It is designed to control the hive mind, and now she's got it, and is taking it back to Earth for the government, leaving us behind to die.
See you around. Or maybe not.
Don't worry, the subplot shows up just in time to save us.
I'm in the flight control room. Please, Isaac, hurry!
There's only one thing to do before I go to the control room, and that's stomp on Kine's corpse. So Isaac meets up with Nicole, and it's a little strange.
You need to get it back now, Isaac. You can pilot the shuttle remotely from here. Make us whole again. Make us whole again.
Well, Nicole's a little creepy, but in truth, I've dated worse. Huh, well those are some strange screensavers. Isaac uses a computer to get Kendra's ship to come back to the Ishimura, and she is pissed.
Isaac, what the hell are you doing? You're making a big mistake. This is not over.
Kendra uses an escape pod and falls to the planet below, which is strange because she could just try to kill Isaac and then leave again on the ship that she had. That makes more sense than using an escape pod. But whatever, I only live by logic and reason. So Isaac and Nicole make their way down to the planet.
Isaac, use one of the loaders to get the marker off the shuttle.
And that's really what this level is. Isaac moving the marker back to where it was found. He has to take the marker through a series of hallways using stasis to slow down the falling of these bridges to get by. And he has to fight necromorphs along the way until eventually we reach the excavation site. Whoa, I didn't know your mom was in this game. Isaac gets the marker back in place and Nicole shows up. And then all hell breaks loose. Damn, this is better than a Pink Floyd concert.
Emergency. Geo-orbital gravity tethers offline. Tectonic load released. Impact imminent.
Well, I think it's time to get out of here. Kendra shows up and takes the marker. She then tells Isaac the reality of his situation. Turns out that Nicole has been dead this whole time and Isaac has been hallucinating her, being used by the marker for its own ends. That video we saw at the beginning was actually her last message recorded to Isaac before she self-terminated. Kendra shows Isaac the full video of Nicole's death, and for some reason she stands around until it's finished instead of, getting the hell out of there before the giant rock falls from the sky and kills us all. From here, it's just a matter of getting to the end for the boss fight. Which brings us around to the question I asked at the beginning of this video. Is Dead Space a good horror game? Well, hell yes it is. It's a fun, tense, scary, creepy, spooky, atmospheric game that very adequately mixes horror and science fiction. The gameplay is fast and tension-filled. The setting and atmosphere make you feel like you're running through a haunted house in space. The story builds an interesting world, and although the plot is sometimes simple and straightforward in its telling, it does create a great mystery that's intriguing enough to keep the audience engaged. And every gamey interface or menu has been made to be a part of the game world, which both preserves and reinforces the atmosphere. The game has some design flaws, true, and they are here and there, and they do generally pull me out of the game, like missions being split up by the tram ride, a useless map system, constantly being told the same information again and again. But I'm never pulled out of the game for long and am usually drawn back in very quickly. Dead Space is a classic, not just of the horror genre, but within video games as a whole, and there is a reason it is both fondly remembered and sadly missed. Dead Space is without question a good horror game, and its ending is also suitably horror-filled. The final boss fight of this game begins with Kendra being killed by the hive mind. Wow. Wow, she's still alive? Jesus. Well, she's not alive after that, and truthfully, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get to stomp on her corpse. The hive mind isn't a difficult fight. Items are scattered around the arena to help you out, and Jesus, this thing is huge. This boss fight is like all the other boss fights in the game, and it's just really a matter of shooting the yellow part of the creature's body until it dies. Sometimes it'll pick Isaac up and hold him upside down, and you have to shoot the yellow things on its face with the controls being all weird and reversed and stuff. You kill the hive mind and climb aboard the ship and get out of there before the rock falls from the sky. Isaac makes it into space and watches the destruction of the planet. Then he sits, exhausted, alone, in quiet contemplation in the dark, and he removes his helmet. Sweet Jesus. Damn. Well, I guess sometimes you just can't get rid of an ex-girlfriend. Thanks for watching this episode of the Evil Fungi Show. It is dedicated to my two patrons on Patreon, Bailey Worthington and Douglas Newell. Thank you for helping me to create my work. And thank you to all of my subscribers out there for being subscribers. Until next time, Space Cadets, this is Kirby, signing off.